As a professional photographer, I've been lucky enough to travel the world. I've seen some amazing places, met some very memorable people, and found myself in some pretty interesting situations. Tonight, I'd like to share with you a few stories. These stories, along with a few others that I can't share, have helped me realize what I believe is our greatest need. This need is why we have survived the Ice Age and thrived ever since. It's why we gather and what drives us as a species. It's also what we find comfort in and what will hopefully put a smile on your face. So how many of you know what overconfidence looks like? This is it, okay? This is a photo of somebody so clueless he doesn't even know he's lost. Yes, this is me all alone in the Tasmanian wilderness, totally lost and totally ignorant of that fact for about another 5 minutes. And then panic set in, and so did the rain. Let's just say the next few hours were very, very unpleasant. Bushwhacking through the Tasmanian wilderness sucks. There's no other way to say it. When you're not looking up in the trees for these huge spiders that can jump on your face, you're looking down at the ground so you don't step on snakes. And then that's how you walk face first into a tree. Bleeding, I started to laugh. It reminded me of when I was little, walking with my dad, and I did the same thing. I remember looking at him and him shaking his head, tenderly saying, "When's the last time you heard from your brain?" Comforting, right? Actually, it was. It was just the memory I needed. He had an orange knit hat on and a brown barn jacket. And somehow lost in Tasmania, it was reassuring. It reminded me of all the people I love, and it lifted my spirits until I found the trail and the way out. Now, beer never tasted so good that night. And after a pint, or maybe it was 4, I forget, I remember thinking about what I believe our greatest need is and how wonderful it was to be around people, even ones I just met. I also remember thinking, man, do I need to learn to read maps. So I did what any normal person would do. I enrolled in a 2-week survival school. This seems logical, right? It did to me. Well, not so much to my family, because they were like, let me get this straight. You're going to fly out to Utah. You're going to live out in the wild with nothing and pay somebody for this experience. Yes, that's the reaction my family had. I had an offer from my brother that I could live in his backyard and he would throw garbage out to me for $500. Now, I am so glad that I went out, because the canyonlands in Utah are unbelievably beautiful. It is untouched nature at its finest. We would hike during the day, periodically stopping to learn a new survival skill or something in nature, and then just lay down under the stars at night. After about a week of this, something went terribly wrong. One of the girls that was with us slipped and fell 30 feet onto a rock ledge. She couldn't move, she could barely speak, and her breathing was really shallow. It was scary to see anybody like this. But everybody I was with was amazing. Everybody pitched in, and within 3 hours, miles from any road or park access, Lisa was in a body splint made of small trees. A signal fire had been lit, and the paramedics actually landed unbelievably in a helicopter on one of these ledges. When Lisa left for the hospital, it seemed all our adrenaline went with her, and we hiked to the canyon floor in silence. It wasn't until we got to a little stream that we started to look at each other, to comfort each other, to really check and see how everybody was doing, to embrace what I believe our greatest need is. And thankfully, Lisa was okay. She survived. Now, many of you would be happy to know that not all my travel ends in complete and utter disaster. When my friend EJ and I arrived at this little Scottish town of Malik, we found our landlady beating the bejesus out of this rug she had strung up with a broom. "What are you doing here? The boats are leaving for Knoydart," she says. Confused and a little afraid because she was still holding that broom, we said, "What's in Knoydart?" "Ah, the Highland Games. Now off you go." And that's how we found ourselves on a landing craft, circa WW2, I might add, bound for Knoydart with the friendliest people you can imagine. It was a bright sunny day, but the seas were going up and down that whole time. And I remember I was looking over at EJ, and he was as green as the seaweed. What really amazed me about that day was how many people, total strangers, stopped by to check on us. It was so welcome because it actually made us feel better. And by the time we got to Neudart, we decided to perk up. When we got there, we found that the games there, although true to sport and tradition, are more of a local community event. Anybody and everybody can try their hands at this event. And that's how our new best friends from the beer tent got us to be on their tug-of-war team. Yes. EJ was 6'6" and 240. I was just along for the ride. Well, it seemed like we met the entire town of Malik in the bathroom and all over the games. And the next day when we were walking around the town, we were waved at, told where to go for lunch and where to go for dinner. We were even asked to go fishing on someone's private boat. And it was a great feeling. By the time we left, it felt like we were leaving family, like we had known these people for a lifetime. As I've said, I've been able to photograph all the places I've been. But what really makes them special to me is the people that I've met there. Travel has shown me it's not where you are, but it's who you're with. And that's why I believe our greatest need is one another. If we open up, really put ourselves out there, we will meet people who brighten our lives, give us back far more than we could ever imagine. Try it here tonight and see if you don't agree. Thank you.